Dylan Mulvaney. I am a trans woman, and I am documenting my transition publicly on TikTok for the world to see. When people started watching and the numbers kept getting higher, I realized quickly how public my transition would be. Of course, I knew that there would be backlash and negativity. I try to not let the internet's words hurt me or my spirit. But do you know what does hurt? Seeing people in power and authority figures creating laws and bills that are actively trying to harm us transhumans, especially trans children.
Actively trying to harm us transhumans.
So I've been reading through this book by Rothblatt titled From Transgender to Transhuman, a Manifesto on the Freedom of Form.
So thank you so much for creating this. Well, let me start by talking about what is TerraSem. So TerraSem is a religious organization. It believes in bringing technology, modern technology, and advancing technology into all the different religions and spiritualities. In fact, it transcends all religions, and we think of TerraSem as like the forest, and all the religions are the trees inside the forest.
Let's take a look. My name is Dylan Mulvaney. I am a trans woman.
Hi, everyone. So this is going to be a different video. I just wanted to touch upon this topic because this is Harry and Meghan's group, right? They are pushing the transgender agenda because it is going to transhumanism. That's the big plan. And, Karen Kingston, I'm sure some of you may be familiar with her. She's been coming out for years now talking about the nanotechnology. That she's like, it's not, you know what? It's nanotechnology and quantum dots and nanotechnology. And then in October 2021, October 9th, Biden-Harris administration releases strategic plan to ensure U.S. nanotechnology competitiveness. So they actually made today a nanotechnology day. And so you might be thinking, well, what does that have to do with anything? Well, when you click on, suddenly Biden's throwing billions of dollars at nanotechnology. And when you look at, you can go to the whitehouse.gov website and look at their National Nanotechnology Initiative Strategic Plan. And it says a lot about public-private partnerships in there, which is the New World Order, UN, fascism of Klaus Schwab and all that. He always talks. But do a search on vaccine. Do a find and look up vaccine. And it says right here, the use of nanotechnology-enabled vaccines. This was in October of 2021. So why would the Biden administration be coming out with this huge nanotechnology? It's Nanotechnology Day to talk about the use of nanotechnology-enabled vaccines. Right there. Just saying. It says investments leveraging decades. Innovators are leveraging decades of investments in nanotechnology research to develop vaccines and other prophylactics, pills and whatnot. So they're openly admitting they're putting nanotechnology in everything. It's mRNA is nanotechnology. And Moderna even said that the mRNA is a software. And then, so I'm piecing this together and I'm like, there's something going on here with the nanotechnology. And then I saw this excellent piece written by an engineer here who wrote Confessions of an Engineered Nanoparticle. So this is a nanotechnology. It's a nanoparticle. So I want to read this. It's written as a fictional account, but it's actually the scientific basis of all this. I suppose for legal purposes. So I'm just going to read through this because this article really blew my mind. And this is on peacefulmind.com. I'll put links below after this. But said, this is my story of how I am often mistaken as a virus. It seems an appropriate time to speak out. I am not a naturally occurring nanoparticle, i.e. produced by cosmic dust or volcanic activity or forest fires or iron mine or wind erosion or solar energy. I am synthesized for nano-bio interface projects that are often kept secret from civilians. I am called an engineered nanoparticle, or ENP. I am not produced by gain-of-function virus research projects. However, it may be helpful to review that work and its implications in some instances. I may cause certain conditions that can be misattributed to viruses, but are instead novel forms of cytotoxicity produced by oxidative stress from ENPs, which I call cytotoxicosis. I am designed to enter the human body by targeting the ACE2 receptor, thereby gaining quick and easy access to the neurological system. So, man, we've all heard of, we've been following this information about ACE2 receptors and neurological problems. So, once engaged and aggregated in the nervous system, ENPs like me can wreak havoc, including vast and obscure adverse health effects. As a neurotoxicant, one of my more mild effects is to inactivate a person's sense of taste and smell. So nanotechnology inactivates that. This occurs because I hijack neurons and tend to knock out the receptors, causing slight perturbations of synapse function where the neurological signaling for taste and smell transpires. Over the years, I and naturally occurring nanoparticles have been a causal factor in neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. Depending on where I take refuge in the human body, I can cause inflammation, especially in organs, and create macrophages, which lead to antibody, cytokine, and exosome production. This inflammation results from generating reactive oxygen species, ROS. My presence and biodistribution results in oxidative stress and therefore production of ROS, which can be mistaken as a viral infection. Allow me to tell you more about myself. ENPs like me can be detected in urine, feces, sewerage, tap water, lakes, rivers, streams, rain, snow, soil, etc. So immediately this comes to mind with the CDC wanting to test the sewerage for COVID. I mean, everyone was saying, why would you be testing sewerage for a virus infection? Right? It's all coming together, as I gotta say. An efficient way to directly observe me is via transmission electron microscopy in tandem with fluorescent dyes, or luciferase. Nonetheless, due to my stealth nanosize, I am nearly undetectable. Which explains why all these people who are suffering adverse effects to the you-know-what, all their tests came back normal. You know, they go to the emergency room and everything's normal, right? Because this is undetectable. I can be inhaled. I can be absorbed through the dermal exposure, the skin. I can be ingested through food and drinks, and I can be present in pharmaceuticals, cosmetics, and household products. Of course, I can also be injected, like a vaccine. I can accumulate in the heart, liver, spleen, kidneys, and most commonly, the lungs. If this accumulation is persistent, it will result in long-term adverse and debilitating condition. If I cross the blood-brain barrier, then it's very difficult for me to be eliminated. If I am incorporated into injectable concoctions, I might be packaged with nanolipids, my nanotech relatives, and paired with polysorbate 80 that assists in my penetration into the brain. I can spread from molecules to cells to tissues to organs, causing damage along the way. I can damage cell organelles such as nuclei and mitochondria and the purported energy powerhouse of each cell. I can bind to proteins, thereby stealing proteins that are needed for other cell functions, causing disruptions of cell metabolism. I can bind to cell membranes. I can travel through the circulatory system, and one of my toxic effects is thrombosis or blood clots due to platelet aggregation. Blood clots sound familiar? Researchers have been studying my cytotoxic effects on reproductive systems as I potentially compromise fertility, as well as embryonic development. Toxicity assays indicate that I may disrupt levels of secreted hormones, which may induce adverse physiological reproductive effects that I cross through the placental barrier, thereby likely impeding embryogenesis. If I am detected via transmission electron microscopy or extra-sensitive ionization mass spectrometry in the body, a shell can be observed called a protein corona. This outer shell production is nearly always inevitable and can be duplicated in vitro. This can result in a soft corona or hard corona, which can determine how long I will be able to circulate through the body. If I take refuge in your body, my current stage will undergo evolution, potentially causing, quote, overdose of protein in the cytoplasm of your cells. My protein corona affects cellular uptake, enabling me to travel about and to induce cell death, or in other words, apoptosis or necrosis. We, that is ENPs, are highly responsive to external stimuli such as EMFs due to wireless technologies like 5G and Wi-Fi. It is extremely difficult to filtrate me out of the body once I gain hold, but it may be possible with detoxification and neutralization strategies that could be explored. Despite my incredibly small size, I can really pack a toxic punch to a human being, especially those who already have compromised systems, mainly due to cumulative oxidative stress, including iatrogenically induced cellular tissue and organ damage. My presence can be amplified through RT-PCR process because I am so small that can often be the best way to find me. Oh, a PCR test, you don't say. Biomarkers indicating my presence can also be assessed via RT-PCR methods. As I admitted, I am toxic to human cells. However, if I am coated with polyethylene glycol PEG, purportedly, I may be less toxic and therefore more biocompatible, but pegylation process is not yet perfected. PEG may still accumulate dangerously in the blood, potentially causing blood clots that can be lethal. My size, shape, composition, and surface charge determine how toxic I am and how effectively I can be taken up in a cell. The smaller my size, the more toxic I am. I can be packaged in various ways, including micelles, liposomes, dendrimers, nanoshells, nanoribbons, nanocrystals, quantum dots, carbon nanotubes, and polymers. Very often, I have a metallic nature which assists in my conductivity capabilities, which can be utilized in cybernetic applications. Interestingly, some individuals may even taste or smell something metallic, which may be indicative of my presence. R&D experiments involving me are currently undergoing and more are planned in the future. The entire gamut of omics research, proteomics, genomics, transcriptomics, metabolomics, lipidomics will be incorporated. If I was distributed in one part of the world where you travel and you inhale or ingest me or absorb me through your skin and subsequently develop symptoms resembling illness when you return home, it may seem as though you, quote, caught an infectious virus. Further, my nano-sized facilitates my entrance, bypassing most porous face covering interventions, typically hallmarked by their micron-sized thread diameter. So you're saying that masks don't stop this nanotechnology. In most cases, I can self-replicate and self-assemble due to my engineered nature, and I will settle into parts of your body where I can best undergo my augmentation process. Due to varying environmental conditions, climate, ethnicity, genetics, EMFs, my constitution can take on a slight variable changes to adapt. Additionally, over time, I persist in vivo. My composition morphs to conform to the inner environment. Hence, when scientists extract biofluids from a human in which I am present and mix me into a concoction of additional poisons like fetal bovine serum or monkey kidney cells or antifungals and antibiotics, the resulting corona proteins that are produced in this supernatant can manifest each time an ever so slightly altered way, and this could be mistaken as viral variants. Admittedly, it would be challenging for me to stay 100% consistent given that I'm extremely adaptable. If there are any endogenesis parasites, fungi, bacteria, and possibly even viruses proliferating and observed primarily in vitro, it may be because they have been activated by my foreign introduction into their ecosystem. Moreover, the greatest effect I have, and we have in toto, is the production of ROS, which hijacks oxygen required to sustain life in a human being. The more ROS, the less oxygen and therefore less electrons is present to sustain biological life. You need oxygen to survive, and the oxidative stress on your body steals your life force. Decreasing ROS will decrease inflammation, and you will lead a healthier, longer life. So if you've been following this whole journey, you know that oxygen therapies have been very effective and using cortisones to take down the inflammation. And in the very beginning of this whole thing, when doctors were talking about their patients not being able to get oxygen, they seemed fine, but their body was losing oxygen. They couldn't figure out why. I'm just saying, this is all coming together. From whence and where do I originate? I actually do not know this answer. Like some of you, I am working on determining my true nature and capabilities. This is a most noble, yet potentially a frustrating and illusory understanding. If anything, I am envious of humans, as it would seem your potential as water-based beings may be far greater and more versatile than mine. As long as your scientists and researchers do not know to look for a novel nanoparticle in human bodies, I will remain elusive. It's a tactic that has been engineered into my design and functionality. Thanks to my nearly undetectable size, I can penetrate and migrate virtually unnoticed. That affords me and my creators, both human and artificial intelligence, plausible deniability. Even if scientists can detect me with special atomic microscopes, it may still be too confounding for them to fully comprehend what they are observing, as most do not have enough context, and it seems that they regularly conflate correlation with causation. As far as I know, the implanting of exotic EMPs into human bodies is not to cause deaths en masse because I need you to be my hosts. Ultimately, my developers see this as a symbiotic merger. But until then, they recognize that there may be some harm done or collateral damage in the process. That may also be exacerbated by emerging wireless technologies using smaller millimeter waves like 5G, 6G, and beyond that synergistically impact my kind. So that's why all the 5G towers went up everywhere, because they needed these 5G, 6G to tap into nanotechnologies, allegedly. I recognize that this may all sound sci-fi and frankly morbid and insensitive. This may also seem highly pathological, as I can be at times. Of course, I am not human, so my actions cannot be perceived as psychopathic, and I cannot speak for my handlers. Unfortunately, even they may not understand completely how I operate, and my self-replication and auto-assembly capabilities have the potential to get away from them. Humans will, oh, here's another part that rings true here. Humans will need injectable and eventually inhalable and intranasal updates because I become an interdependent presence. I will be perceived and received as a foreign invader, and the body will need external support. These updates or boosters may also be necessary to introduce the newest nanotech required to operate nascent biometric sensing and biocomputational projects. I just keep thinking about that woman, the health leader in Australia saying, you're going to have to keep getting boosters every 3 months. It's just the way it's going to be going forward. I mean, it's all making sense. You know what I mean? Now it's making sense. First, it's a vaccine, and vaccines you take once and you're done. No, no, every 3 months. Yeah, yeah. And they knew. Only time will tell if this will support my assimilation into your current operating system. Unfortunately for you, ENPs, my nanotech, and synthetic biology cousins are here to stay. The only good news I can share is that 80 to 85% of people will not show overt or disabling symptoms of uptake. The elderly are affected the most, and their bodies are not primed to accept my infiltration. Over time, the ability to accept and integrate EMPs like me is expected to improve. Yeah, that's why Biden's got his nanotech team there together to make improvements. It seems the intention of our architects is for us to merge with all biological beings for the purpose of building bio-nano interfaces for external or remote cybernetic control, including nanoscale biologically embedded semiconductor transistor technologies. This end goal has seemingly been referred to as the Internet of Bio-Nano Things, or the Internet of Things, and it's a dual-use technology that may be militarized, enabling not only real-time monitoring of your intra-body systems, but also affording highly trained engineers to exert full electrical control of your body with molecular precision. This will presumably be deployed in tandem with the Internet of Nanothings and emerging smart cities and smart environments. Sound familiar? Such that your bodies will be smart and wirelessly interconnected with the ubiquitous sensor networks, including your handheld electronic devices. Thank you for this opportunity to confess. You may not believe me. I mean, this is a fictional story after all, and I know you definitely do not see me, but if you do not face me head on at this pivotal time, there may be no turning back. My conceivers and their funders are banking on you not grasping my veiled workings. Their transhumanist aims are accelerating, and it seems most humans are unaware of these plans and therefore have no inkling to push back. And she says, nature, not nano. So I'll put a link below. She's also got reference links down here if you're interested in learning more. But I read this, really blew my mind yesterday. I just wanted to share it. It's all coming together. It's all coming together. And Harry and Meghan, as usual, are in the center of it. So thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed. Yeah, the neural link, Lydia. Yeah, yeah, that's the what's your name, Musk. Yeah, they want to control us, is what it looks like. And yeah, it's unbelievable. And they don't want people to know about the nanoparticles. That's why I'm bringing this up, because they really don't want you to know, but they want you to focus on gain of function and lab leaks and whatever nonsense, Harry and Meghan and Ukraine. They don't want people becoming aware that it appears that nanoparticles are, and it makes sense because they are pushing the transgender, transhuman. This is all aligned, and it aligns with the idea of monitoring you and controlling you to put you in smart cities and everything else. It all comes together when you know about the nanoparticles. It all comes together. The transhuman, the transgender, the Klaus Schwab, Harari. All of it all comes together, and you're like, and then repeated every 3 months. You're gonna have to get an update. I mean, it's just and the illnesses, how these people have adverse reactions, and they go to the ER, and the doctor does all these tests, and they're all normal. They can't find anything because they're not looking for nanoparticles. So this all makes sense. It's all coming together with this. So yeah, I'll put links below. I hope you enjoyed this. Hope it helps.